Ask anyone in India to picture Rani Laxmibai, and this is the image you will inevitably get. A fierce queen charging into battle, her sword raised with her young child strapped securely to her back. It is the ultimate symbol of Indian resistance against colonial rule. But the woman behind this enduring myth was not born a warrior, and she certainly did not go looking for a war. Before the uprisings that would define her legacy, Lakshmi Bai was a highly capable monarch governing the princely state of Jhansi. She spent her days navigating a delicate political landscape, relying on careful administration and diplomacy to protect her people. The legendary imagery obscures a crucial historical truth. Her first battles against the British Empire were fought entirely in courtrooms, armed with legal petitions rather than artillery. In the mid-19th century, the British East India Company was aggressively expanding its footprint across the Indian subcontinent, looking for any excuse to absorb independent territories into its growing empire. To see exactly how they accomplished this, look at this flowchart illustrating a bureaucratic policy called the Doctrine of Lapse. The company dictated that if an Indian ruler died without a biological male heir, their state would not pass to their family. Instead, it would drop right into the company's hands through forced annexation. When Lakshmi Bai's husband died, Jhansi fell perfectly into this trap. The British blatantly ignored centuries of local custom, legally rejected her adopted son as the rightful heir, and triggered the annexation protocol. Lakshmi Bai fought back through every official channel available to her. She sent diplomatic envoys and wrote extensive appeals to London. The British ignored all of them, offered her a meager pension, and ordered her to permanently vacate the royal palace. This bureaucratic erasure created a dangerous vacuum. By shutting down every legal avenue for survival, the company removed the very diplomatic structures that had kept the peace, leaving the region without a clear path toward a nonviolent resolution. The catalyst arrived in 1857. A massive, violent rebellion erupted among Indian soldiers in the British Army, rapidly engulfing neighboring regions in open warfare. Even as the region burned, Lakshmi Bai did not immediately join the mutiny. She focused her energy entirely on maintaining order within Jhansi's borders, keeping her civilian population safe from the surrounding chaos. But the British, paranoid and looking to punish any potential dissent, eventually marched a heavily armed force directly on Jhansi, demanding total submission. Faced with an invading army at her doorstep, she made a definitive choice to refuse surrender. She immediately pivoted to wartime logistics. She raised a massive volunteer army, ordered local foundries to cast new cannons, and heavily fortified the thick stone bastions of the Jhansi fort to withstand a prolonged siege. To accomplish this, she had to discard the strict social norms expected of a royal widow, abandoning the traditional practice of purdah, put on male military armor, and began drilling her troops personally on the parade grounds. By physically leading her forces, she turned Jhansi from a target of legal annexation into the armed epicenter of the rebellion against the British Empire. When the British forces finally arrived, the siege of Jhansi was brutal. The attackers brought overwhelming artillery power, bombarding the city continuously until they shattered the outer defensive walls. With her forces overwhelmed and the city falling, Lakshmi Bai executed a legendary midnight escape. Strapping her young son to her back, she mounted her horse, breaking straight through enemy lines under the cover of darkness to evade capture. She could have easily gone into hiding. Instead, she rode hundreds of miles across hostile territory to link up with other rebel commanders and organize a counteroffensive. Together, they executed an audacious tactical maneuver. They launched a surprise attack and successfully captured Gwalior, a strategic stronghold previously held by staunch British loyalists. The fall of Gwalior forced the British to treat Lakshmi Bai as a primary strategic threat, a commander capable of dismantling the empire's military hold. The British knew they had to neutralize her immediately. In the summer of 1858, they launched a massive counteroffensive specifically to retake Gwalior. Lakshmi Bai refused to retreat. Dressed in full male cavalry attire, she rode out to meet the British forces, fighting directly in the vanguard, where she was ultimately killed in combat. In the immediate aftermath, the historical reality was grim for the rebels. The uprisings across the continent were crushed, and the British definitively annexed Jhansi, absorbing it into the Raj. But the British had made a fatal miscalculation. They won the physical war for territory, but in killing the queen, they created a powerful martyr whose cultural impact they could no longer control, censor, or contain. Her story of defiance bypassed official British censorship, spreading through underground oral histories, regional poetry, and folk songs that celebrated her bravery against impossible odds. Decades later, when the 20th century Indian independence movement began to organize, leaders explicitly invoked her name. They used the imagery of the warrior queen of Jhansi to recruit new generations of revolutionaries to fight for freedom. Lakshmibai's physical kingdom was stolen through pen and paper, and her life was taken by the sword. But by making the definitive choice to die on her feet rather than live on her knees, she built an immortal ideological empire that ultimately outlasted the British Raj itself.